I got done with work and practice and just said, you know what, I haven't seen this. This is on my list of shows to watch, and you know what, I was gonna sit down, watch it, and did. It was a great show. Kelsey's are America's sweethearts right now. They're the darlings of the NFL. We're gonna get into that here, but
America's family.
We're America's family. Truly, they are. Jason Kelce just is like you. What you think of offensive linemen, that is him.
You know, I was thinking about this today. If Jason Kelce wasn't an offensive lineman, something tells me he'd be like a plumber.
He would be, absolutely.
You know, he's always in pain.
Or a rancher. Or a rancher.
He's trying to be that. He is trying to be that.
Yeah. That, and he's got his hands in some real estate, it sounds like, as well. He's got a pretty good podcast going on. And we have reached episode 97 of the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. We've reached the Aiden Hutchinson, Brad Ambrosius, Everson Griffin edition of the podcast. Grant's shaking his head.
I knew you were going to say Aiden Hutchinson, which it's a shame. If you're going to pick a 97, you've got to pick the best 97 in the NFL, Nick Bosa.
Nope.
Put your rivalry aside. He is 3 times the player that anyone else is in this league, minus Micah Parsons.
Has he ever had a holdout or whatever versus cops on Lake Minnetonka? I don't think so.
That he hasn't. No, I can't give him that.
Well, neither has Brad Ambrosius, former Bison great, as well.
But Everson has.
Everson has.
But Everson has.
That was about the 5-year anniversary of that happening, was it not? It was right around this time, I believe.
I thought it was colder. But maybe not.
Because it was right before the Buffalo Bills game, and the Bills just absolutely stomped the Vikings. It was Cousins' first year, and everybody was like, the Bills, they were supposed to be the worst team in the league that year, and all of a sudden they roll into US Bank Stadium and just annihilate the Vikings.
Well, what I remember about that is this. I think Romo and Nance did that game, and last year after the 2 shellackings the Vikings got when they did those games, Romo and Nance look at each other and they're like, maybe we should just stop doing Vikings games because it doesn't end well. Whenever they're...
That's right. They did do the Cowboys-Vikings game last year. You're right.
And then the Packers game on New Year's Day.
That's right. Yep.
So maybe they just stop doing Vikings games.
Maybe. Granted, who knows? Maybe that luck turns around, granted, because it's not like they could have played much worse than they have to start the year.
That is true.
But yeah, so we've got a loaded show. And we got to start by, we've got two different societies, cultures, 2 different cults, in a sense, groups of people colliding, and that is the Swifties and NFL fans. And now it's more so turned into a bit, but right away this was actually a very serious thing. Of these Swifties were very upset. They were questioning whether Travis Kelce was good enough to date Taylor Swift. And the better question here is Taylor Swift good enough to date Travis Kelce? Travis Kelce is going to go down as the greatest tight end of all time. Is Taylor Swift going to go down as the greatest musician of all time? I don't think so. There are way too many people ahead of her. Now, I'm not going to knock it. I enjoy some Taylor Swift music from time to time. And since all these rumors and her showing up at the game, have I listened to a lot of Taylor Swift music? Yes.
That makes 2 of us.
Now, rain on your parade. I will not.
That's okay.
Okay, well, so now Ethan is the only non-single guy here. So, and Grant, you've got 2 sisters. I have a sister. So, Ethan, if you had to rate Hannah's level of Swiftiness, what would you, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would her Swift fandom be?
Maybe a 2.
Maybe a 2. Okay.
Yep. She's more of a Morgan guy.
Okay. Also, very popular on TikTok right now is him walking out to Broadway girls as he's getting ready to take the stage. So I've listened to Taylor Swift and Broadway girls pretty much on repeat the last since Sunday.
Well, that makes sense,
And
Dylan, because of course Taylor was at the game on Sunday, and Morgan announced his was it One Night at a Time tour, where he will be in Minneapolis this summer, and then also apparently Kansas City is just the darling of America right now because he's going to Arrowhead in August.
Okay, there it is. But now, Grant, what is your sisters? They went to the Taylor Swift concert. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever seen her in concert. I saw her when I was about 14. She came to the state fair in North Dakota, and my cousin Logan and I, we went to it, and that would have been like, that's weird to think. I was going into my freshman year of high school. That was like 15 years ago. That's kind of crazy to think.
You're dating yourself
crazy
there, bud.
I'm really dating myself. This was before I wasn't able to drive a vehicle yet. It was when I saw her. Taylor was still was either 18 or 19. Great concert. But I have not gone back to see her since. But Grant, what level of Swiftiness are your sisters?
So
from 1 to adult diapers.
So they're not an adult diaper level. But they are. They've seen Taylor twice in concert. One was at the Fargo Dome when I think she was doing her 1989 tour in 2015, and then this past summer at US Bank Stadium. They're fans. They're not the crazy lunatic fans who don't think Travis is good enough for her. But Miranda is such a Swiftie fan. She said she was requesting this be a segment on the podcast tonight because it's such a big deal. And down there living in Oklahoma, she was bummed out that they showed the Cowboys-Cardinals game on Fox instead of the Chiefs-Bears game because she wanted to see Taylor.
Yeah, I would be too.
So they're not adult diapers, but they've seen her twice, and they did put in to try to get tickets when she was back in the States on this Era tour, but they did not qualify. So I'd give them like an 8, maybe. Like they're up there, but they're not crazy. But you can guarantee that any opportunity they get to go to a Taylor Swift concert or anything Taylor Swift, they're going to be there.
Okay, fair enough. And Ethan, my sister is similar to Hannah, where I asked her what her level of Swiftiness is, and she said she's about 3. So, and she said she would like to go see her in concert, but she said her voice is a little bit too girly for her. So, yes, and Grant, from what your sister's disappointment was my excitement because they had the Chiefs-Bears game on Fox where I was at. So I fortunately did not get to watch the disaster that was down in the desert.
That's
the disaster in the desert. I guess that's what we can call it is when the Cowboys hold up the Lombardi, that's what inspired this run is the disaster in the desert. I like the spin zone I just did.
Dude, that is a very 9 to noon Paul Allen analogy right there, the disaster in the desert. So well done, Dylan. I didn't know you had it in you, but I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. So, sometimes, and I actually didn't, most of my days are spent in a car where I'm driving or I'm in a cooler with just myself and my thoughts. So I have time to think about stuff like this, but I actually just came up with this one on the fly. So bully for me and
good things ahead.
Now,
good things ahead for you. And hopefully Taylor and Travis. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
America needs that.
Yeah, positive vibes only on that one.
Positive vibes only.
And let's get into our week 3 recap here. Surprise, disappointing, told you so. Whether it be unit or team, can be either one.
Yeah, Ethan.
But,
so I kind of started something last week where instead of bashing a whole team or praising a whole team, if let's say the Chiefs defense carried them in Jacksonville, I shouted out a specific unit.
Gotcha.
So you have that opportunity now if you would like.
And some of it, and it worked out. It was a great audible by you, Grant, especially because you can only have so many teams where you were out on before you run out because you don't want to have all of them, back to back to back because then it's just like stealing candy from a baby. The Bears we could have every week as our told you so team. because it's just that easy. We told you about the Bears. It's a Caleb Williams sweepstakes, and now everybody's finally seeing it. But as always, I'm still working on getting the mini helmets here, so we're still with the paper.
So we could do some rock paper scissors.
No, it's too delayed, and
okay.
I like the idea, but also with 3, it's kind of tough because what if we? Well, I mean, if 2 people did paper and 1 person did scissors, then it would be easy.
They win.
We're going to George Kittle it, looking right at the camera.
So the first with the first pick in episode 97 of the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast, the first pick is Grant.
Yeah, victory is mine.
Right, we got Grant going first. That's the second time in 3 weeks. Going 2 is Ethan. And then I suppose that makes me.
Ethan go second last time also?
Nope. I went last time.
I did. I was second. He was last.
That's right.
Yeah. So Grant, this is good for you because you have both times Ethan has been on the podcast the last 2 times since we've done this. You have gotten the first pick.
Wow.
So
I tell you what, I'm feeling
who
pretty
is
good.
your surprising team or unit?
My surprising team or unit?
3.
We're gonna go with a team, and it's kind of because they played bad, and I expected more from them. The Washington Commanders.
Oh.
This week I really liked the way they were playing weeks 1 and 2. Bieniemy had that offense humming. Sam Howell wasn't making a whole lot of mistakes. That front 4 was getting after it, and the secondary was playing better after they kind of retooled that this year. And boy, they just laid an egg on Sunday. And I wasn't able to watch the game because, of course, I was out of market. But I was looking at the box score and the stats today. Going into the fourth quarter, they were only down 16-0. I know it seems like a lot, but it's a 2-possession game. And the whole game, they were averaging 8.1 yards per carry. Sam Howell threw it over 30 times. He got sacked 9 times. He had 4 interceptions. I feel like Bieniemy got a little too Andy Reid in him. Saw he was trailing against Buffalo. He had to throw it a lot more. Got his quarterback almost killed. If you get sacked 9 times in this league, you're not going to make it past week 8. Like I said, they were running the ball really well, 7 yards a carry. I feel like they could have slowed the game down a little bit, maybe after a couple early interceptions, maybe just, like I said, slow it down for Sam Howell and only his 4th career start. And you think with the new owner, they're 2-0, they're feeling good. They got the Bills at home. DC's a football town. They're going to get after it, and they just came out flat and laid an egg.
I will also take a team. I'm going the Indianapolis Colts. A good pick here. All right, a good surprise. Go on the road, beat Baltimore. Backup quarterback. You still don't have Jonathan Taylor. You only threw, your average pass was 4 yards.
Yikes.
3.8 was their average pass. But you forced 2 turnovers. You didn't turn it over. Gardner Minshew played a clean slate, and they won the game. I mean, that's not easy to do in Baltimore. They held Lamar for the most part passing. His legs kind of hurt him a little bit. I think that's how they kind of averaged 5 yards a carry. But no, overall, pretty damn good win for the Colts, who are now surprisingly 2-1.
Yeah, they are 2-1. That's right, because they won game week 1, and Anthony Richardson coming back. I'd sound that Jonathan Gannon offense and
Shane Steichen.
Shane Steichen, excuse me. Yeah, it looks like it's carried over, and you're seeing a little bit of a hangover from the Eagles, where you can tell that they miss Shane Steichen and their play calling. It's just not quite in tune yet. Granted, the Eagles are 3-0, but the NFL always is going to try to favor the Eagles since they've got one of America's sweethearts on the team. So they're going to give them easy schedule to start the season, and that's why they're 3-0. But when Anthony Richardson's been in the game, the Colts look good right now. They are leading the AFC South, and right now you could probably, just judging by how they've played, they are the favorite in the favorite in the AFC South at this moment. Now, that's subject to change. It's a long season. But as of now, the Colts are setting themselves up in a nice position.
Well, and
for me...
Hold on. Ethan was going to say something.
My selfishness for fantasy football is really hoping they trade Jonathan Taylor and then Zach Moss continues to eat. So then I have 2 more studs at running back.
I like it.
There you go.
But
there
also,
you go.
Their kicker made 5 50-yarders in the rain.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah. It was. I think it's the first game ever where a kicker made 5 50-yarders. No, I think it's Matt Gay.
He's still in the league. Wasn't he a punter?
Maybe it wasn't, but it's not Blankenship. But yeah, first game ever, Ethan, where 5 50-yarders and did not miss one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, it is Matt Gay.
Yep. Okay, Matt Gay.
Yep,
okay.
It is Matt Gay.
Okay.
So, yes, and to me, and I'm going back to back here with surprise and to disappointing, but my surprise team is the mistake by the lake, the Cleveland Browns. I thought after last week, the Titans, after a poor showing in week 1, the Titans rebounded in week 2, getting a win over the Chargers. I thought that Tannehill looked good. I thought he was going to utilize that. The weather was going to be really crappy, which fed into the Titans' game plan of giving Derrick Henry the ball a lot. But Jim Schwartz's defense said, nah, they're going to hold him to 94 yards. Myles Garrett's going to have 3.5 sacks, who might be playing at a defensive player of the year level. Did you guys see where they were moving him all over the field and they had 2 tight ends following him around? He was impacting that game that much. The Browns are 2-1. Deshaun Watson is still not what he was pre-controversy, but when you have a defense like that, just don't lose the game.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, he tried by throwing it 20 yards backwards, but it didn't come back to bite him.
But who doesn't try that at least once, right?
Yeah.
Well, Marcus Mariota tried that last year, and he didn't play after that. So
this is true. And now let's go over to the disappointing team, my disappointing team of the week. And there's part of me that wants to say the Cowboys, but without three of their offensive linemen, Trevon Diggs getting out, I think this is just a mirage. That game is a mirage. It's in the past. It was a disaster, but they're going to learn from it. They're going to get better. They were looking ahead, I think. But my disappointing team was Grant's surprise team was the Washington Commanders. Sam Howell had 4 INTs. We talked about this last week, Grant, you and I, of the Eric Bieniemy, Ken Whisenhunt Sean McDermott matchup. They kind of look alike, so that's why I said Ken Whisenhunt. But Sean McDermott won that one. He got home with the pass rush, forcing Sam Howell to get rid of it before he wanted to. They weren't able to run the ball, and all of a sudden, the Bills look like the old Bills at this moment.
I was gonna go Commanders. I like a Cowboy pick, but I feel like that's just kind of too easy.
Too easy.
But we're going to stay north. We're going the Vikings. I thought this was their worst game so far this year, which says a lot after they lost to Tampa. Probably should have beat the Eagles if JJ doesn't fumble at the goal line. But just altogether, I thought this was probably their worst game. Whether you use the clock management at the end, whether that's on KOC or Kirk. Again, the fumbling issue. Defense can't even catch a ball. Like, you let them score a touchdown off an easy interception. And then to top the cake, Hawkinson drops it, and literally the game-winning play for an interception. So just so many stupid mental mistakes by that team on Sunday. It was, I'd say, easily the worst, maybe even the worst game of KOC's career at Minnesota so far.
Well, guys, even in like the whole game, like Keenan Allen for 14 catches, why are we not double teaming him?
It's just mind-boggling.
Flores keeps bringing pressure up the middle, so the Chargers are just like slant. It's like, you got to change it up if it's not working. You know, so that makes total sense, Ethan. And guys, I'm not gonna lie. Last round, I mixed up. I used the Commanders for my disappointing team. So I'm gonna go back.
Grant.
I'm gonna go back to my surprise team, which should have been last one. we're going to be on the winning side here. Houston Texans.
Excellent pick.
Yes.
That makes a little bit more sense. I was very confused by it.
Yeah,
I was like,
I'm sorry.
why would the Commanders be a surprise team? But you know what? I'm just gonna be like the like Russell Wilson's agent, and I'm just gonna let you cook.
So yes, disappointing team. Commanders, surprise team, Houston Texans. You know, when I look at C.J. Stroud, his third start in the NFL, he looked lost in the preseason. Well, this week he was 20 of 30, 280 yards. That's 9.3 yards an attempt. Their defense, you know, sure they didn't get any sacks, but they only let Jacksonville get 17 points. And without their two starting tackles, this many sacks against Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen, 0. I'm not saying Houston's going to win a bunch of games this year, but I think they're going to be a young, up-and-coming team that's going to ruin some people's seasons like Detroit did a couple of years ago. And D'Amico Ryans has that team cooking. You know, people clowned him because there was that report before the draft. CJ wasn't smart enough. He's not the guy. Why do you trade up for Will Anderson Jr. When he's only going to be an eight sack person kind of guy in this league? Well, he blocked a field goal on Saturday. And of all these rookie quarterbacks, CJ's had the best month by far. It's not even close. So
he's already better than the guy that graduated before him.
Yeah.
Field.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No kidding.
Oh yeah,
and who he said he wasn't. The Bears shouldn't take him if they still had the first pick because that was his teammate, that was his guy. Well, wrong as of right now. You know, Tank Dell had a big game, and then it was cool seeing the fullback muff the kickoff and take that back to the house. He just didn't give up on the play there. So, yeah, my surprise team. I'm gonna go with the Houston Texans this week.
Good choice. It was a good weekend for the Buckeyes. I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
But back to you, Ethan. Here, quick. Have they said what the diagnosis of Justin Jefferson was? Because he went down late in that game. Now
it was cramps.
It was just cramps.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it looked a lot worse.
Yeah, because I was actually
fearing the worst.
Yeah, I think everybody was, and watching it, I had Red Zone on, and I was kind of it was jumping around, but it shows him down, and it looked like it was a non-contact injury. Luckily, thankfully, that's all it was cramps, and he'll be back this week. It sounds like
he came back late. He came back.
He came back the next play.
Oh, did he? Oh, yeah. I didn't even see that.
Because then Dylan, the play after that, Hawkinson went down, but then they both came out after that.
Oh,
but then
gotcha.
Apparently the Vikings, they had a 5-yard penalty because they were out of timeouts when both Jefferson and Hawkinson got hurt.
So stupid.
This NFL rule, Dylan, I've never heard of until Sunday. Where apparently if you have two injuries on like back-to-back plays, they consider that with no timeouts in the last 2 minutes, they consider that your fourth and fifth timeout. So it's a 5-yard penalty.
So stupid.
Oh, really? It's not a 10-second run.
I don't know what the hell's going on.
No.
I was so confused.
And that referee, he said it with his chest out. He was confident as all hell, like he knew what he was talking about. And PA and Bursich were just like, in our 29 years within the NFL or the Vikings media, we've never heard this before.
I guarantee you that's probably been called less than 5 times in NFL history.
It
has to be.
Oh, easily. That's the first time I've ever heard of it.
Yeah.
That has to be something that only happens to the Vikings. Dan can add this to his calamity calendar.
That's another
one. Yeah.
And
told you so?
Yeah, I think back to me, right?
Back to Grant for the told you so.
My
team unit of the week.
My I told you so team of the week is the Tennessee Titans. Coming into this year, I was not strong on them. I know Tannehill can't play anymore. Besides D-Hop, they have no weapons. Their offensive line is porous. Derrick Henry had 20 yards rushing. When you have 20 yards rushing for that team, it's a guaranteed loss. You know, Tannehill, I wrote it down. He went 15 to 24 for 104 yards. 4.2
That is
yards.
A Josh Rosen stat line right there.
That is a Josh Rosen stat line, but still somewhat.
That might be a new segment we should do with quarterbacks. Is the Josh Rosen stat line of the week?
But you know what? It's still better than what the Iowa Hawkeyes produce. So I'm not going to talk about quarterback play there.
It's also interesting to me about the Titans. Spears or whatever his name is had over double the snaps than Derrick Henry, but only had 4 carries.
Yeah.
So what the hell?
Yeah, and then also he had negative receiving yards. I don't know if he had a couple screen passes that went awry, but yeah, their third round pick got it. Tulane. I don't think they know what they're doing with them. And you know, they let some older pieces on their defense go. You give up 27 points in the rain to a Cleveland team who looked lost. I thought without Nick Chubb they were going to be lost forever. Yeah, the Titans they're just kind of flat. And like I said, I don't trust them, guys. And Tannehill's not the answer. You have Malik Willis, and then Will Levis. What are they going to do there? No skilled players outside of D-Hop. I think it's going to be a tough year in Nashville.
Oh, yeah, it's me now. Whoops.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was watching part of the Twins game. Told you so. Bengals. I said before the year they're gonna sneak into the playoffs, but it won't be pretty. Exactly what we're seeing so far. Joe Burrow still kind of shaking out that calf a little bit, maybe a little questioning whether he should probably even be playing. But just in general, their offense is not looking good. Defense is saving them right now. But I think eventually, yes, they will get it together a little bit. But right now, I feel like they have a little bit of that hangover coming off the AFC Championship game. Burrow gets hurt. They have just a couple things going against them, but I think they will pick it up here in the next couple weeks.
Well, and Ethan, to your point, I looked up the Bengals' schedule today. Their first real opponent, I believe it's October 29th or 28th when they play the Niners. They don't play anyone before that. Shut Burrow down for a couple of weeks. And they proved when they won the AFC Championship 2 years ago, you just got to get in the dance. And they can win on the road. Because when you got Burrow on the sideline massaging it every single second, he looks at a sink. I mean, they finally got Jamar Chase going, but I'd almost rather sit him for maybe 2 to 3 games than lose him for 8.
That's one other thing about them. They can never seem to get both Higgins and Chase going in the same game, which is so weird to me. It's either one goes off,
it's one or the other,
or vice versa. It's never the same.
Yeah.
You think in a weird way, who's under Mike Brown or Paul Brown? Do you think he's telling them to sandbag Higgins so they can try to keep him cheap this year?
I don't know.
Since they know he's a free agent.
I would not put it past Mike Brown. Who has a reputation as one of the cheapest owners in the NFL. It's not you can't deny it, but you also can't dismiss it either. And with the Bengals, their O-line has really, really, really struggled as well, too. Which, when you have an injured quarterback, is not a good recipe.
Which is, again, I think,
especially after you just signed the richest contract in the NFL.
You know, and sometimes, guys, I get upset with myself because I always say, hey, you win inside and out. And I said that was my one beef I had with the Bengals this year. And then I go off and I predict them to win the division and Joe Burrow to be MVP. Like, why do I talk out of both sides of my mouth? Or is it just some unconscious thing I have for the Bengals where I tried to do like reverse psychology? Can anyone answer that?
Probably more than reverse psychology. You're just getting lucky while doing it.
Okay, thank you.
And the other part, too, is the AFC North is going to be a division that's going to beat each other up really a lot. So, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if the team that wins it is 10-7,
10-7,
11-6, 9-8. It's going to be an absolute slobber knocker of a division as the season rolls on, and
call me crazy, guys.
And we get into December and January.
With the way the rest of the AFC looks at the current moment, which is not good, you could get 2 to 3 AFC North teams in there because they're all going to be around, like you said, Dylan, that 9-8 to 11-6 mark. And even though they're going to beat the hell out of each other, they might all sneak in.
Yeah, that would be the first time all 4 teams from a division sneak into the playoffs. And let's table the NFL talk and go down to the college ranks as we recap
Dylan,
week 4 in
Dylan, did you give your last team?
Oh, Yeah, you're right.
It's
I
the
did not give my
Cowboys.
team.
We all knew they were frauds.
No, you zip it there, or I'll zip it for you.
I'd like to see you
there,
try.
buddy.
It's pretty hard to do from 800 or 700 miles away.
Oh, is it, huh?
Yeah.
I have that power. So my told you so unit is the Jets' offensive line. Now, Aaron Rodgers goes down four snaps into the season. It was a question mark coming into the year was the Jets' offensive line. And Aaron Rodgers getting hurt, yes, it was unfortunate that it happened 4 snaps in, but it wasn't a matter of if Aaron Rodgers was going to get hurt by the Jets' offensive line. It was a matter of when. And right now they cannot protect anybody, and they're a disaster. They keep rotating guys. There's no continuity. Mekhi Becton is a bust. Dwayne Brown is old.
He's on IR.
And he's on IR.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not looking good. Zach Wilson is not a good quarterback either, but it also doesn't help when the guy is running for his life and he has to do a double spin move to try to get out of it.
Well, and that team, guys, is about to implode.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have one good skill player last year in Garrett Wilson, and then you bring in, my guy, McCole Hardman, who had a great first 2 years in Kansas City and kind of tailed off after that. So maybe you could say that was the Andy Reid effect while he got him the ball. Alan Lazard, I've never thought much of him at Green Bay, and you bring in old washed-up Randall Cobb. That's not going to help you out. Then you bring on Dalvin Cook coming off shoulder surgery, Breece Hall coming off an ACL tear. It's kind of just a recipe for disaster. And
not even Dalvin's shoulder injury. Like his advanced metrics last year were awful.
Mm-hmm.
Like people don't they see the name, but they did not look at the stats.
Well, yeah, they're looking at 2019 Dalvin Cook, not 2022. And after playing 3 years at Florida State and 6 years in the NFL, you're going to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw a stat this morning, guys. They only have, from their week 1 start offensive line to I think now coming into week 4, one person playing in the same position, and it's McGovern, the center. The right tackle is now at left tackle. The right guard is now at right guard. The right guard went to left guard, and I think they have a new right guard. Or it's something just goofy like that where it's like, oh, my God.
Yeah, jigsaw puzzle.
Exactly. And at some point, like I said, that team is going to implode, and Robert Saleh is going to lose his job.
And, well, Joe Douglas is known, and the Woody Johnson, known as they aren't afraid to fire guys. They have kind of a short leash for those two positions, and yeah, they could be looking for a new head coach, new GM.
Well, and like Ethan and I were talking about this on Monday, how screwed are the Jets, man? They don't have a second round pick next year. If you want to try to get a new quarterback, no team is they're gonna ask for a first rounder.
You have zero leverage.
They're not going to give that. So you're going to have a 41-year-old quarterback coming off an ACL tear. Achilles, I'm sorry. Thank you. You can't possibly draft someone in the first round. They're screwed. I mean, they are going to be bottom sellers in the AFC East for the next 5 years, and fans are going to continue to lose their fake teeth during games. And Romo, that's going to be the best part of Romo's job. Commenting on fans losing their teeth.
What if this is setting up for where the Jets they end up cutting bait with Salah, they cut bait with Joe Douglas, and what if this sets up for a trade where the Jets trade Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings and very Brett Favre-esque
zero
to it?
So hold up. So the Vikings are going to not only get older at the quarterback position, they're going to also get someone coming off a ruptured Achilles.
Yes.
Perfect.
Makes all the sense in the world to me by the laws of the internet. And frankly, anyone who has a brain who works at ESPN thinks that way. So it must be true.
Well, I don't know if you work at ESPN. I don't know how much of a brain you have. If you've heard some of the
that was
my joke.
Shows,
and that actually is the perfect segue to get into our college football week 4 recap, our college football team of the week. And mine is the Oregon Ducks, who just had to deal with the disrespect that Colorado shows up. They're stomping on the O. They're talking all this smack about how they're going to dominate. They look small. They're going to run through them. And in reality, they showed that there's some substance in the Oregon team where there isn't. This Colorado team's fighting for clicks. Oregon went out and fought for wins. That game was over from the first play of the game and brings back down to life the Deion Sanders experiment at Colorado. Everything that we have said on this podcast about Colorado. They've got some nice skill guys. They have nobody who can protect them. I went to a coaching clinic down in Denver where they had the Colorado offensive line coach, and he told a room full of high school coaches that he had 3 guys on the roster that could bench over 300 pounds. And you could call the Pac-12 a little bit of a fairy league or a soft league, but I guarantee you at USC, Washington,
Utah,
Cal, well, not really Cal, Utah, Oregon State, Washington State, all those, they got linemen that can bench 300 pounds. There's some football dudes. And now Deion, it was the most watched game in college football. He outranked, which was an incredible game in Ohio State, Notre Dame. But the expectations are brought down finally, and calling it for what it is that this is at most a 7-win team. And if they can get to 7 wins, that's great success. But Deion has to find a way to improve his offensive and defensive lines, which I don't know if he can, because they brought in, and people talk about this Colorado team, how they won 1 game. This is not the team from Colorado team that was there last year. They have 69 new scholarship players. They are turned over an entire new team. Now we're really going to see how good of a coach Deion is, because the one-time transfer rule is done. All those guys he brought in, they're stuck at Colorado, or they're going to have to sit out a year. And how is he going to be able to handle that? And you go look at the recruiting rankings. Colorado is 75th nationally in the recruiting rankings at the moment. And now that obviously can change, but you aren't going to compete when you are towards the bottom half of the recruiting rankings.
Well, and then also, now we're going to find out what his strength and conditioning staff and what his offensive line coach and defensive line coach are in the coming years. Because like you said, Dylan, we all saw this coming. You can get all the skilled players you want this offseason with the one-time transfer rule. But can you get those big boys up front? And why, if I'm a big boy, would I want to go to Colorado? Yes, Deion, he's a huge personality. He didn't
even know his center's name.
Yeah, that's unacceptable. And he can be, the greatest corner of all time. But how is Coach Prime and his staff now going to get me into the NFL? Because guess what? If I go to Texas, if I go to Michigan, if I go to Notre Dame, if I go play defense for Oregon and Dan Lanning, guess what? There's a chance I can make it in the NFL. If I'm a front 7 player and offensive lineman, how is Deion's coaching staff going to do that for me?
And he's got all the fancy chains, the sunglasses, and all this. That doesn't excite an offensive lineman. That excites the skill players, all these rappers. All offensive linemen want to do is they want to go do their job. They want to go eat a bunch of food, go get in the weight room, get stronger, recover, and go home and do it all over again.
They're not driving $500,000 Rolls Royces through Boulder.
No,
they're driving a Chevy 1500 Silverado. So
I think my favorite thing was just how many people on Twitter saying, "Oh, this would have been a different game if Travis Hunter played." No. His kidney ain't worth 40 points. Sorry, it's just not going to happen.
Well, and like you said, Ethan, I didn't know Travis Hunter could block defensive linemen. I didn't know Travis Hunter could stop Oregon's running game.
Like, just shut up. Like, you got your ass kicked.
And even then, when he was in there against Colorado State, they struggled against them.
Well, and going back to that Colorado State game, yes, he took a vicious shot, but we've seen shots like that before. Like I think he had there were that though the it was a lacerated kidney. That was brewing long before. When you play 100 snaps back-to-back weeks and your body's taking those hits,
and the altitude,
the dam's going to break at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say what it is. Like, I'm not saying the guy deserved the hit, like getting hit like that late. But when you talk as much shit as you do, you're gonna get hit, whether you want to or not. People will headhunt you, and that happened.
And Travis Hunter he's probably been the most mature about that whole thing too. He's like,
oh yeah,
it's football. We get hit. That's it's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then also, Ethan, you're spot on, and I understand. Putting the D on someone's chest and an L for leader and dog. Football people don't want that. Football people are old traditionalists. They want to stick to how the game should be played in that aspect. And when you're walking around talking the way you're talking, having a D on your chest saying that, oh yeah, hey, I'm a dog, I'm here doing this. And, you're slighting a team in Colorado State and then like you said, Dylan, you go in, you made it personal when Colorado stepped on your logo, but then you can go and you can step on Oregon's logo. The hypocrisy speaks for itself. And don't be surprised when you get your ass kicked. And, Dion, you shouldn't be surprised now that people are going to make this personal and they're going to make it about whooping your ass. And that's what the rest of the Pac-12 is going to do to this team this year. It's going to get ugly.
Team too, because as the season wears on, they're really, if you go look at, there's not an easy win. I mean, you could argue maybe with Stanford, but Arizona's a good team.
I would say Stanford and Arizona State.
Yeah.
And Cal, probably Cal, but still at that point.
Cal can still put up points.
That they can.
But it's still like, when you're depleted, when your roster's depleted with injuries, it's hard to win games. You still need some talent.
And when you can't keep your quarterback upright, it's only a matter of time before his son gets hurt back there at quarterback. And it could be just an AC joint sprain. Still, that's 2 weeks. This Colorado team can't afford losing him for 2 weeks.
Yep.
I mean, Dylan, you talk about the Pac-12 and ferry this, ferry that. Well, they're the deepest conference in college football.
Mm-hmm. They are. This year, they are the deepest conference in the.
You can't argue.
That West Coast, the West Coast, the reputation of kind of being some cream puffs, some softies. It's there, but we've talked enough about Colorado, and I'm interested to hear who your guys' Week 4 teams of the week are. So, Ethan, fire away.
Well, I'm going to go with one of my college football playoff teams. I'm going Florida State. Dylan, we talked about this on the preview of the whole year, but you picked Clemson, I picked Florida State. Tonight kind of dictated who's got the driver's seat, or this weekend did. Yeah. Florida State went on the road and beat them. Late touchdown to tie it, overtime win, incredible win for Norvell, what he's done so far this year. I mean, you beat LSU, you beat Clemson in your first 3 games, or 4 games, I guess. You're doing something right, and they absolutely deserve a top 4 ranking right now. And 2 weeks until the playoffs come? First rankings
already?
Come
wow.
Well, no, I think it's more November, guys.
Is it November? Okay.
I think we got about another month.
Yeah.
Even then, they absolutely are in the conversation for a 3 or 4 seed right now.
Oh, without question. Yeah, no, and Ethan, it's funny you mentioned that because that was my game of the week last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I told Dylan, I said, hey, you know what? Is this the same old Florida State team, or Clemson has this conference on lockdown, or can Florida State take it back and say this is ours to lose? And you know what?
Clemson, I was going to say, is after that loss to Duke, is they've kind of just quietly just dominated every team they played, and they absolute boneheaded play call by Garrett Riley on third and inches, where they have the first down if they just give it to Shipley, but they decide to throw the screen and they lose 2 yards, and then they try to throw the ball again and then it falls incomplete.
Yeah, it's it's a new Florida State team, and for Clemson, the year's over. I mean,
2 losses, you're done.
They're done. Yeah, they're
Two
they're
conference
done.
losses
2 conference losses.
at that.
So I know we just spent some time talking about the Pac-12 conference. I'm going back.
He's going to Utah.
I'm not going to Utah. I'm going to Pullman, Washington. I'm going with the
Hey.
Cougs.
Ooh, that was one of my
Cougs,
teams I had written down as well. So,
And I say it because we're at the end of September, and I know, Florida State, they got those 2 big wins. Washington State has 2 top 25, maybe top 20 wins this year, beating Wisconsin and Oregon State. And, Washington State's kind of that forgotten team out there, and Cam Ward is an absolute stud. I mean, what the state of Washington has this year for college quarterbacks is almost not fair. But yeah, Washington State, they just look real good. They've pretty much dominated Oregon State the whole time. And, they kind of told the rest of the world, hey, don't forget about us. We belong in the Power 5. With the shifting and the conference realignment and everything like that. But for the Cougs, they get a big win. They should be a top 15 team, if you ask me, in the AP poll. So shout out to the Cougs for a big win last Saturday.
yep. Yeah, that was an impressive win. And you kind of hear some media guys, Coach Jason Brown from Last Chance U, the former Independence Community College head coach, said that Washington State should be talked about as a playoff team. And that's mostly because of a guy like Cam Ward. And the Apple Cup, if it's setting up to be could be a play-in game for the Pac-12 championship. Now, it's a long season to go, and it would be a total Washington State thing to where they lay an egg here in the coming weeks. But definitely a team to keep an eye on. And with that, we got everybody got their week 4 team of the week, right? My brain isn't working too fast or faster than my mouth. Okay, we're good. So let's go back up to the NFL for a little bit, and we've got on deck. We have our week 4 games of the week. Now, Grant, you just talked about Washington State being your team of the week. Does your NFL week 4 game of the week also involve a team from Seattle?
Not this week.
Or Washington, I should say. Washington State?
Not this week.
Okay.
The way I introduced this game, I am going here, fellas, how Fox promotes their game, America's Game of the Week, Patriots-Cowboys. I want to see how Dallas bounces back from just a weird game last week. Like you said, Dylan, some injuries. They just came out a little flat. Who knows? Maybe they were drinking the juice. You beat the hell out of your opponent 70-10 in the first, or no. Was it 70-10 for the first 2 games, or was that the Giants stat? I can't remember. I think it was the Cowboys.
It was. Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, 70-10. You're going in playing a lowly Arizona team with Joshua Dobbs being there for a little over a calendar month. You should beat the brakes off those guys. Well, they don't do it. And the Patriots got a big win, against the Jets on Sunday. They're sitting at 1-2. And if you're the Patriots, you can't go down to 1-3. You just can't do it with a tough schedule coming your way. And I think Dallas needs to rebound. But facing a tough Patriots defense, they're going to try to stop the run and make Dak beat them. And then I'm intrigued to see if Dallas can get this defense going against this Patriots offense this year that doesn't have a lot of substance to it. So if the Patriots win, both teams are 2-2. If Dallas wins, they're 3-1. The Patriots are 1-3, and the Cowboys can kind of say, it's the NFL. Week 3 was a fluke. We ended quarter 1 at 3-1. If we can go 3-1, in every single quarter this year, I know with the 17th game, it's a weird number, but 13-4 is going to put you in a damn good spot at the end of the year. So if Dallas wants to be on pace for that, they got to win on Sunday.
Well, and they're going to have to because the Eagles, they're playing the Commanders at home, which I think that is going to be a win. The Eagles are going to go to 4-0, and you don't want to say this early in the season that this is a must-win game for the Cowboys, but this is almost a must-win game because the next week, the 49ers, they go to San Francisco for Sunday Night Football against the 49ers, which is going to be a tough play. It's been a nemesis for the Cowboys these last 2 years. And the Cowboys on paper are a much more talented team than the Patriots, and I expect them to bounce back and get a win against the Patriots, which is never easy.
Is that one in Dallas or is it in Foxborough?
It's in Dallas.
It's in Dallas. Yep. Zeke is going to be making his return home or coming back for
well, and then
for
the whole
for
thing
this game.
where Dallas maybe switching their hand signals, it doesn't seem like much, but to me that can be a bit of an overreaction. And then also in this aspect, maybe Dak does something to CD or Brandon Cooks on the outside, and there's a miscommunication because they changed it up. And that Patriots secondary is flying around, and a potential pick six could change this game. So could be nothing, could be something. We'll see.
I'm staying up here in the north for mine. About 5 hours from here. We're going to tomorrow night. We're going Lions versus Packers down at Lambeau.
Mm-hmm.
Really, whoever wins this game has, as of right now, complete control of the division. You essentially have at least a 2-game lead on every single team. I don't know. Just if the Lions want to actually do this thing, they need to win this game. Simple as that. You've done the talk all the offseason. You've been the media hype. You beat the Chiefs. You kind of lay an egg at home versus Seattle, and then you come back and beat Falcons. Now do it again on the road. First one was, honestly, if you ask me, fluke. You weren't going to beat Chiefs at full strength. I think that was very obvious. Can you beat the Packers? Can you beat Jordan Love? I think the Packers are going to come out on fire. Off that big 18-point fourth quarter, Jordan Love made play after play. I think the Packers roll, but I think it's going to be an incredible game.
Well, and then also they got Christian Watson coming back too.
Mm-hmm. And Aaron Jones. They're going to be humming.
Well, and Ethan, you're spotted, not to make this a Chiefs take, but that Chiefs team that played last Sunday against the Bears, they beat the Lions 31-10.
Easy.
In week one. Easy. They just absolutely destroy those guys.
Oh, yeah. And me.
We have guys that can catch a ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And for me, I'm going to go to, I think this is probably the game of the week game of the week in the NFL if you take a look at the games. I'm going to go up to the state of New York. I'm going to Buffalo where the Dolphins take on the Bills. And the high-flying Dolphins offense is going to meet their first test. Grant talked about the Dolphins being a team that is going to be their disappointing team this year because they did not improve their offensive line. So far, the offensive line has held up pretty well and has kept Tua on his feet. They're going to face a different animal in Sean McDermott and that Bills pass rush. See if they can make Tua uncomfortable. Get him off schedule. See if they're able to, those long routes that the Chiefs like to run with Tyreek Hill to scheme them open. It's going to be a tough battle anytime you go into Buffalo, and it's a game that's going to put one team in the driver's seat after the first month of the season, to win the division. And it's possible as of now that Miami and Buffalo could be playing outside of their other time where they go down to Miami, where they could be playing in the playoffs. Miami wins this game. This puts them in the driver's seat. You would much rather be playing in Miami than going up to a cold Buffalo in January or February, depending on when these two teams would meet.
Well, and how crazy is the NFL, guys? I know this is just Vegas and it's betting odds here, but the Dolphins put up 70 last week, 3 points away from an NFL record. They're on the road this week. They're 2.5-point underdogs.
It's just nuts.
2.5-point underdogs, and the total for the game is at 54.
That's high for an NFL game.
It is. It is.
Be that game though.
If it's that game, it could be that one.
It could be. But that concludes our week 4 preview in the NFL. And we'll be back next week to recap it. But before we do that, we're going to go down to the college ranks. We're going to go to preview week 5 in college, and our game of the weeks here. And it's It wasn't as good as it was last week, but this is a very sneaky, underrated slate of games here. There's some really good games that are going to be going on. And I believe last week I had Notre Dame, Ohio State as my game of the week. And I'm going to stick with Notre Dame, and where game day is going to be. The first time ever game day travels to Duke, where it is Notre Dame, Duke. It's going to be the battle of two potential first-round quarterbacks in Sam Hartman and Riley Leonard. And Duke is they're playing well. They got off to a hot start by beating Clemson at home. And Notre Dame, we're going to see how they bounce back from a heartbreaking loss where it felt like they controlled most of that game. They should have won if they had 11 players on the field in a critical time. But we're going to see if this is the same old Notre Dame, or if we're going to see if Notre Dame comes and plays with their hair on fire and goes and plays like they are the better team and takes care of them.
I was going to pick that one, but I'm going to go Oregon State, Utah. I know Oregon State just came off of their loss versus Washington State, but you got to think, is it Reisner?
Cam Rising.
Rising. I knew it was an R something. He's got to be coming back any time. How Utah's
that game is on Friday night too.
Impressive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and Utah needs him.
Oh, they need him big time if they want to win this game. They need him. Like, without a doubt, there's no ifs, ands, or buts on that. Like, he has to play. Otherwise, they are screwed.
Rising and Reeser.
Reeser, that's their backup's name?
No, Rising in Reeser Stadium. That's what the stadium's called.
Interesting.
Like the macaroni and potato salad.
Potato salad company, yeah.
Yep.
So let's just say, guys, I'm glad I have 3 games down because you two clowns took both of my first 2 options.
I love it.
Those are the 2 ones I had down, so my bad.
So, but I got a third one here, and I'm gonna go LSU Ole Miss.
Ooh, I had that one written down as well.
I saw that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Texas, Kansas as well, and Washington, Arizona. I also had as a Pac-12 after dark game.
I had Texas, Kansas written down. God damn it, I forgot about that.
Ethan's team to win the Pac-12, the Big 12 to start the year. But for me, this game it's more about Ole Miss than it is LSU, because like Dylan said, is this going to be the same old Notre Dame team? Well, is Ole Miss going to be able to come in and win this game? Or are they just going to be the same Ole Miss team they got a fiery coach who fits in the SEC? You know, they got a good roster, but, you know, at the end of the day, they can only win 8 games a year. Because if you lose back-to-back weeks against Alabama and LSU, I'm sorry, at some point, Ole Miss, you're going to lose 2 more games this year. And it's just going to be another, a so-so 8-4, maybe a 9-3 type season in Oxford, but it's not going to pan out too much. And, you know, if you're LSU, again, this is another opportunity to really just put the clamps down on this conference in this division and say, hey, you know what? The only time that we lose is when someone beats us. And when I say so, I mean them. Because, you know, Florida State, you know, LSU, if they gave that game away in the first half, and then you beat Arkansas last week, you beat the brakes off of Mississippi State, you can get another SEC West win. You know, that's huge, you know, come November, because you're going to need them. So, but again, this just comes back to Ole Miss. They need this, because if not, they're just the same Ole Miss team. Yeah, talented 8-4 team, but come November, we're not thinking about them.
Yep, and LSU they escaped narrowly against Arkansas, which is just it just seems par for the course for a Brian Kelly coach team, where it's the highs are really high, and then they find themselves in games where they are the superior talented team, and then they find themselves in it and find a way to pull it out. But it's also just one of those things with LSU. I'm not going to be shocked if they win. I'm not going to be shocked if they lose. So That's our week 5 college football recap here. And before we get to Curveball of the Week, as we mentioned earlier in the show, pop culture meets sports here. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, are they dating? Are they not dating? It's hard to say, but Grant is probably our resident czar of pop culture. He knows all things Taylor Swift. He knows all things Kardashians. He knows all things Britney Spears, all things Lindsay Lohan, all things, I don't even know any more pop culture people. But that Grant is the guy to go to. And
big TMZ guy.
Big TMZ guy. And I texted you guys and said that be ready before we get to Curveball of the Week here. I have a surprise for you guys. So, as I said, with the emergence and the merging of of Swifties and NFL fans, we're going to see how well you two know Taylor Swift trivia. And the loser has to buy the winner Chipotle or Chick-fil-A or wherever you guys choose to eat. Is that a fair deal?
Sure.
Here.
Okay,
Ethan,
there it is.
Imaginary air shake on it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
There it is. Oh,
yeah,
give him the turkey. There it is.
We figured it out.
So, question 1. I got 5 questions for you guys here. And they're all multiple choice. I'm not going to make you guys guess here. So, first question. How many houses does Taylor Swift own? A1, B3, C5, or D8?
Shit.
I was always taught if you don't know, you guess C, so we're going with it.
Okay.
So C was 5. My original, if you had to guess, Dylan, where it wasn't multiple choice, I was going to say 6. So 5 is below 6, so I'll go D, 8.
Oh, and Grant, you guessed it correctly. It is.
It's you.
Yeah.
8 houses though. Like, what the hell?
So hold on. Probably it does like her condo in New York count?
Yeah,
probably got
like
one there.
8 properties.
Probably one in.
I looked
one
it
in
up.
Los
I can't
Angeles.
remember, but she's got the one in Nashville and like one of those like really big penthouses where Kenny Chesney and Blake Shelton live. So, question 2 is, what was the name of Taylor Swift's first album? A, Taylor Swift, B, Our Song, C, Fearless, or D, Speak Now?
Boy.
I'm going to pretend I didn't see that collusion back there.
She's in the bedroom. I can't even see her. I have Mr. Boone laying next to me, though. He's good. I'll go A.
Boone's helping.
Why wouldn't you name your first album after yourself?
I'm pretty confident I know this one, too, because I think I talked to Olivia about this last week. I think it's A, Taylor Swift.
Both of you are correct. So
Hey,
it is Grant 2, Ethan 1. So Ethan is on the board. There's not going to be any shutout. And we're going to go on to question 3 here.
Yeah, we're not Iowa football.
No, we're not.
Oh, that is a good one, E. That is good. I like that one.
Boys, we lost to the fucking nerds.
I'm 1 week away from hitting the portal. I'm so done with those assholes.
Throw them in the portal for head coaches.
Yes.
All right. And so question 3 is, who did Taylor Swift write "We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together" about? A, Joe Jonas, B, Jake Gyllenhaal, C, Tom Hiddleston, or D, John Mayer?
I don't think it's A or B, or A or D. I'll go B.
All right.
Is that Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yes.
All right, Dylan, to prove your point, when you asked this question, I initially in my brain thought, if it's an open-end question, I'll say Jake Gyllenhaal. So I'll go B.
You're going B as well.
Yeah.
And both of you are correct. So it is 3 Grant, Ethan 2. Now Ethan's got to start picking opposites here so he has a shot. So
I picked first. What am I supposed to do?
I'll start going first.
TV?
I'll start going first.
So you guys want to hear the backstory of of their date is Jake Gyllenhaal apparently spent $160,000 to fly Taylor out on a private jet, only for him to break up with her over a text.
Nice.
Noise.
So, moving on to question 4 here. What was the lead single on Taylor Swift's debut album? A, Picture to Burn. B, Teardrops on My Guitar. C, Tim McGraw. Or D, Our Song?
Hmm.
Can you say them again, Dylan?
A, Picture to Burn. B, Teardrops on My Guitar. C, Tim McGraw. Or D, Our Song?
I'm gonna go B. What, Teardrops on My Guitar?
I was gonna pick that, but now I can't. So screw it. Let's go C again. Stick with my gut.
You know, Ethan always said, when in doubt, pick C. This time it pays off. We are tied.
Same shit, different year. Let's
Question
go.
to go. It is Tim
Okay.
McGraw. Yep. Taylor Swift got to play with on stage or opened for him or something when she was like 15 or 16 years old. And that she wrote this song when she was, I believe, 12 when I was looking up these trivia questions last night.
Wow.
Jesus.
So a fun fact Friday on a Thursday, recorded on a Wednesday.
He got it.
There it is. Nailed it. And with our final question here, we are going to go with, what is Taylor's favorite color? A, blue. B, black. C, red. Or D, purple?
Oh, shit. She's got the album called Red, but if you look at a lot of her costumes on stage or outfits, there's some purple. So I'm going to go with purple.
I'm gonna go.
All right.
It's half the time her lips, I swear to God, she dips them in blood before she goes
Oh,
out.
that's a good point. Oh.
We're going
Grant,
red.
you can change if you would like.
I'm going to stick with purple because I know on one album cover she's wearing that purple dress.
Okay. And that is correct. So Grant, you're a free meal. It is purple.
Wow.
Which is I'm very glad that it didn't end up in a tie because I didn't have any tiebreaker questions. So you know what, it worked out.
We would have both got dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess Grant could have bought Ethan. Ethan could have bought Grant.
No. You just buy both. Let's just we both won.
Oh. Okay.
So since I got 80% of these questions right, does that make me a Swiftie?
At least a 4.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I would. I mean, you're a, from 1 to adult diaper. I would say you're about a 6.
Okay, that's fair.
Grant definitely. Ethan, I can totally see this with Grant where he totally just sings passionate Taylor Swift songs in the shower.
I've actually heard it. I can confirm.
Someone once did ask me what my guilty pleasure song was, like the song where you don't want anyone to know that you enjoy it. And it was a Taylor Swift song.
Hey.
What was the Taylor Swift song?
Blank Space.
Blank Space. That is a great song.
Yeah, just like what Greg Olson said on the broadcast.
Similar to your brain.
Yeah.
That was good.
Jeez, that was harsh.
It was good.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. And Ethan, floor is yours. Let's go to Curveball of the week after. We've kind of just been all over the place where it's been me, then Grant, then back to me. So it's good to have you back. So
yeah, we're back.
You better not disappoint us.
No. So I've been playing a lot of PGA Tour or PGA 2K23. I'm probably the best player to ever play. I just ended up I just won the Players Championship at 56 under. So not terrible. I only won by 4 strokes. But what was your favorite game to play on either the PS4 or like the PS3, PS2, Xbox, whatever the hell you played growing up?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Oh, favorite video game. That one's fairly easy. So if it's easily NCAA football for sure. And we might have to throw it back to like the PS2 days. 05 and 06 were the first two that I got. And 05 I loved because it had those old throwback games where you could go back and kind of recreate history, where you could do the I'm trying to think of some of the games. Well, it was like the Cordell Stewart Hail Mary, the Miami Ohio State Fiesta Bowl. Games like that. And then in 06 when they had the Heisman race, that one was always fun to play. I wish I still had my PS2 because there's part of me that wants to go back and try to play those games again because they were so much fun to play. But definitely NCAA football for me.
Guys, I'm going to have to go to the college years and then just kind of pick a franchise here, but the Call of Duty franchise. Me, Caleb, and Troy, my roommate freshman year, playing Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 on the PS3. And then when Caleb and I got the Xbox, playing Black Ops 2 and all the games after that. It's funny you mentioned that because today I sent a Facebook video to Caleb that said when you're at a job interview and it finds your old Xbox Live chat, and it's just the amount how vile and disgusting, misogynistic, whatever you want, anything else that was in those chats were. And I remember one day I recorded what Caleb and I said. Oh my God, it would. I would be executed for the stuff we said back then. Listening to it.
Do you still have that by chance?
I think he might have it on his phone or his computer. He's actually going to be in town next week. I'll have to ask him.
Oh.
But yeah, I got to go with the Call of Duty franchise. Just kind of got us through a lot of long, cold winter days, and in North Dakota. And I think I came. What got me through the game was my favorite phrase: "We're spraying and praying, baby." Accuracy was low, but we're just going to try to kill some people.
I really want to say Ghost Recon. I absolutely loved sniping people at headquarters coming out of the alley. Headshots for days.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to go with MLB Slugfest. Nothing beat beating out an infield single, lighting up the first baseman and stretching it into a triple. Like, it was just horrible. You get fire, you catch the ball, you go beat the living hell out of the pitcher. Yeah, that was... Who thought of that? I have no idea what drugs they were on, but what an incredible game.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Which also brings up another good game, Ethan, were the NFL Streets. Those games were always fun to play.
Those are so hard.
They were. Or like with the Street 2 where you're able to climb the wall.
Yeah, they were freaking hard.
That was just ridiculous. Or like, guys, also like when you're in 7th and 8th grade and you're like, oh, your buddy just gets Grand Theft Auto and you're going around just being an absolute menace to society, going along the street. Hey, these people aren't going to walk for a sidewalk. I'm going to run your ass over. Pick up a hooker. She invites you over. Can I get you a cup of coffee? We know where this is leading to. And, just taking a baseball bat to some random stranger, just being an absolute menace to society on Grand Theft Auto.
Putting a cheat code in for a tank and just not ever getting caught.
Exactly.
What a game.
Yeah. So it's got to be those two.
Yeah, and we pretty much touched all the bases here. We touched pop culture. We touched sports. We touched video games here. We touched it all. This was another good episode here.
We're the men of the people.
Things are rolling.
Change our name to Touch It All.
Touch them all. Just like the Twins are doing right now, as they are, and we didn't even get to that. So let's just conclude it here with the Twins are division champions. I heard a stat today that there was only it was like 5 games where they weren't in control of the Central. So they dominated it from start to finish. They got off to a good start. They kind of had a little bit of a low point in the All-Star break, but as the NDSU saying goes, start strong, finish stronger. They are finished stronger. There's going to be some, I don't know if questions about depending on health and availability of where they go with the offensive with Buxton, Royce Lewis, who potentially there could be some guys left off the
Royce is already swinging. He'll be fine.
But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Go Twins. Let's end this dreadful playoff losing streak and just mess around and win the whole thing.
That's why we play the game, right?
That is why we play the game.
Why
and
we
that,
play the
that
game.
wraps up episode 97 of the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. We'll be back next week to recap, review, and preview the week prior and the week coming up. So peace, everybody.